Hey guys, it's Marcia Moon. I'm about to embark on my journey to the north. I'm leaving today for Beaufort West and tomorrow Bloemfontein. Yeah, it's been a while. This is my second tour since COVID. And traveling is a bit like exercising. When you don't do it often, you kind of get lazy and a bit rusty. So I'm really looking forward to just get myself out there and get my head going and get my heart going. As my friend Doc McLean says, just keep an open heart when you travel and when you tour. And this is food for the soul, food for a musician, just to be able to get on the road with music in my ears, books in my ears. I use my phone to leave voice notes to myself in the form of a type of a diary, and that helps a lot. And to be alone, I think that is one of the main things about traveling, is to just be alone for a bit and then gather enough energy to use that energy for people around you once you get to gigs or your host or hostesses where you're staying over. So yeah, this is to safety and magic and inspiration and energy and consciousness and also understanding. So I'm in the bathroom here at the Dorens, at with Rusberger. What strikes me about the mountains around here is they're also different. Some of them are like a light brown color, some are dark blue, some have ragged little edges, some have really kind of roundish shapes. I've driven past here, I've been driving past here for about probably my whole life, but this is the first time I've actually turned off here and just kind of scanned the town a bit. So this is the Karoo. This is not the Karoo, ne? Kijk net daar. I'm staying at the Olive Grove guest farm tonight. So I'm in the middle of the Karoo. I slept over here last night on my way to Bloemfontein. This place is called the Olive Grove Guest Farm, and it's a very, very cool place. I slept over here last night and the moon was out and it was like dead quiet. You know, that Karoo silence where it almost presses on your ears. And there's olive trees all around here. There's some blow arpies here. For once I'm not seeing baboons, seeing that I live in Pringle Bay, but blow arpies, little cute things. So look at that tree, pretty cool. Now, and John, one of the guys that helps run the farm here, he speaks about the archaeological and geological aspects of this farm and how cool it is in terms of what they've been finding here. It sounds very, very cool. He speaks about some sort of a lizard, type van 'n akedus, that they found here without teeth. Well, fossils, it sounds like, if I have it right. So yeah. So I've been skipping some of my videos. I've been very busy. It's been a bit hard to get to make my little videos because I've been on the road, gigging on the road, trying to just keep up with the tempo of gigging and hosts and hostesses and people and all of that. So the last video I made was in the Karoo. In the meantime, I've been in Bloemfontein. I've been at the Tweefontein Melkery gig. I've arrived in Pretoria. And quite a lot happened. A lot has happened in the meanwhile. Bloemfontein, amazing experience. I had a full house gig at Iversnice thanks to Andries and Belinda and Amy. Yeah, and the people were amazing. It was a real kind of sit-down theatre show, and it was my first stop of the tour, and it went really well. And there's something about Bloemfontein. I think it's Belinda's house. My friend Belinda, I've known her since 2010. And we had an interesting background, me and Belinda, how we met and how our friendship grew over the years. But Belinda is one of those people who she's there's so many parts of her life that's so in line with mine. And over the years, you know, we've been supporting each other in the music and in the way that we, you know, think and live our lives. And Amy, coming into Belinda's lives in the last couple of years, also an very, very cool person to have around. Both of them very talented musicians. And always when I go to Bloemfontein, I swear it just feels like home.
Good boy.
Buddy.
Yes.
Zoek naar vrienden, het is een zwart zak en negativiteit. We zijn allemaal zoek naar familie, niet noodwendig een bloed.
Clubs there, I watched a few gigs there, very talented musicians, and old school, almost alternative stuff, stuff that I used to remember when I lived in Pretoria in the 90s, and I've got a very alternative but good quality music culture there. Back from Bloemfontein, I was on my way to Tweefontein, Melkry, to go play a gig there, and what a very exhilarating, scary, interesting journey. I said to myself, because I was supposed to play a gig in Joburg, it was cancelled today, but I said to myself when I was in the Cape, there's a few things that I don't want to do when I go to Gauteng, or that I want to stay clear of, and that's Joburg City. Because I do have a bit of I've had a few experiences in Joburg that's kind of left me with a little bit of PTSD. When I worked in Hillbrow for a bit, at Power, did criminal cases there, and I used to walk from the train station or from the bus to Hillbrow because my car couldn't get close enough to the place where I worked. And we went into the city with the work, but into the downtown city of Joburg, and there's just a few things there that really overwhelmed me, and for some reason the GPS took me all the way around to Hillbrow, past the place that I worked, into the city, and it kept on saying to me, into the city, and for some reason I missed the Oliver Tambo drive off-road. and it's crazy. I just drove straight into my fear, and it was getting late, and I was almost kind of lost. Not lost, but I mean, I was going around in circles, and the GPS kept on pushing me. Well, I can say it was the GPS, but I do believe there were some other entities at work there. Very interesting. Good sense of humor, and also trying to get me into my power, facing my fears. And then finally I got to a street, and it said, the GPS said turn left, and the street said Marcia. And then when I turned down that street, I finally got to the Bruma main road, and then I was out of there. It was bizarre. Yeah, coming into Pretoria, crazy. I haven't been here in such a long time. Driving in here in the dust and the bushveld, driving past the off-ramp to our house in Waterkloof in Eridane Street when we lived here. A lot of memories there. Monument Parks direction, driving past Unisa, where I did some of my studies, driving past Fontein, Brooklyn, the gym, Hatfield. It was crazy. It's just it's like it stood still in time, but still there's a different atmosphere. There's so many people, and I'm living with Izan and Sunette, very good friends of mine. Izan is both of them very amazing artists. Izan is one of my favorite sculptors. Okay, so today I'm doing my tattoo here at Izan's flat. I'm very excited. It's my third tattoo, and it's going to be on this arm, opposite that arm, with my crow. And yeah, we're going in now. It's a home studio, and I'm super excited.
Kies.
Is.
Kies.
Hey, check it.
Moet je nog goedjes nog kijken wat je... Nee.
Yes. Ja, daar begin I nou eers. So I'm busy with my tat. Izan Wit, my very good friend, and she's got a very cool studio. And yeah, here we go. Session 2. Any case, so yeah, I'm off to play my gig now at Cafe Barcelona, and I'll speak to you guys later. So I'm actually back in Betty's in Pringle. I've been back in Pringle for almost a week now, a little bit less. And when I'm watching my video, I realized that I haven't really said much about the Tweefontein Melkerij gig. I've got some cool footage in my little video. But yeah, the Tweefontein Melkerij gig was awesome. It's something that was organized by Jolene East, Steve East, there in Tweefontein. And that venue, I've always loved that venue so much. It's such a cool, decorated place. Hey, Floris, hoe gaat het met jou? I played there yonks ago when we had a charity event for Driekus, Barnard, who played in Brixton Moorton Roof. He was such a cool guy, and that was the only time I've ever played there. So this time around it was special, and to walk around there and see on the one wall Things and Times. The Things and Times sign was there. So for you guys who are either from Pretoria or know the Pretoria music scene, that Things is like a legendary music venue. It's always been a legendary music venue, just like Zeppelin's and McCoy's and Shaft was our dance place. Tings was a little bit later on, but it started as a very small little place in Hatfield, and then it moved around, still in Hatfield, but just around, and then it moved up to, I think it was Garsfontein, but always amazing music, and good music, quality music, proper, and like a very eclectic mix of music. So, you know, a lot of our Pretoria culture was based around what happened at Things and Times. So it was very cool to see my fellow female musician friends that I haven't seen in a very long time. Shotgun Tori Tain, I haven't seen her in a long time. Oriel and Tessa was there, I haven't seen them in a very long time. New musicians, Christelle and them from the Russian Dolls, and Neil, and Christelle is quite a hoot. I had a lot of fun with her, she's very funny. And obviously Jolene was amazing. What really struck me about Tweefontein, and that was just after my little detour in Joburg City, in Hillbrow, into Hillbrow. So I was a bit freaked out and also amused at the same time. But by the time I got to Tweefontein, just stopping there, being warmly welcomed by Christelle and Jolene, and standing around a fire with some old Pretoria people, you know, Kobus and them, people, and Martijn, you know, friends of mine, and people like Magoebaskloof was there, Murray, people I haven't seen in such a long time. And you know, that feeling of Pretoria people, I know things have changed over the years, it's not strictly Pretoria, Wallis and Cape Town people anymore, but that feeling, standing around the fire and just feeling so at home. I said to the guys there, I think we take for granted, well, I used to take for granted how connected we were in the alternative Pretoria music scene and art scene. And it was a culture, it was an amazing culture. It's probably it's still continuing in Pretoria up there. And, you know, my kind of boundaries just collapsed this time around, and I felt closer and more open to people, and because I realized, you know, having someone who understands you on a cultural level is very, very special. If you have someone that you can talk about Oppie Koppie or Tings or Zeppelins or this braai or that musician or that festival or this album or, you know, that alternative scene, or you know, it's connects you. No matter what, you are connected. You're part of that group. You're part of that subculture. That's something that I really won't take for granted again, and I want to cherish that and what's left of that. And you know, if I go back to Pretoria, that would be something that I want to focus on in seeing those people again. It's the same with you know, guys that came to my gig. That's also part of that scene. Sandra and Rosie, and Ilse and them, and Cynthia. Cynthia came in a bit later in my life, but you know, those guys are also part of that scene, and it's a small scene, but it's so connected. So it was beautiful and it was amazing. And one thing that I want to say is, when you're on the road, especially when you're alone, you're spending so much time alone, and there's so many things, challenges and stuff that happens to you, that once you get to people, your heart is more open. I think that's maybe what Doc meant. It's interesting because as I'm sitting here, I started my video with my friend Doc says, keep an open heart. And being on the road and keeping that open heart is also about letting people in when you're on the road, because you need it. You need that extra bit of trust. You need that extra bit of softness and forgiveness, and you know, there's your heart is softer and you appreciate people more. So that's quite interesting.
Everybody's at the Heartbreak Hotel. They're flying the sheets, giving them away. The gin was pouring for days. A gas leak in the ceiling was giving them all meaning.
Ek sien by die Pierneef Theater. So I'm here at the Pierneef Theater. Very cool. Haven't been here in a very long time. Europe, all these years. Very, very cool place. So, nighttime in Pretoria. It's pretty cool. I haven't been here in quite a while. I feel a little bit like I'm in Las Vegas here. Very awesome. Me and Tracy just went to the gym and yoga. And how's it, Pretoria? Lekker. So, I'm in Magoebaskloof. Welcome to Magoebaskloof, eh? Mist. Yeah, that's Zion City, Marcia. The Heinhardsburg, Polokwane, Limpopo area. Yeah. Zion City, big events, big gatherings there over Easter weekend. So I'm back here in the Karoo, and what a journey! 500 kilometers to Bringle, and I'm going to be back in the Cape. It's been an incredible journey. I actually didn't even thought about making videos on that side. I took a few clips, but I was so in the moment, and I was so completely immersed in my tour, my trip, and the people, that I didn't really make videos. And there's so many things that I wanted to remember, but I think a few highlights further on my trip was Magoebaskloof, Heinhardsburg, Limpopo, Tsanin. I stayed at my cousin's place, my two cousins, Kat and Chris from Katbok Radio, and Chris is a phenomenal musician. Kat also plays a bit of drums, and it was such a spiritual experience. The thing that I thought about was one of the things that I realized in terms of touring is you get different elements. You get the social element of seeing people that you haven't seen in a long time, friends, that type of thing. You meet new people. You connect to people that you haven't seen in a long time, and you connect to people that means a lot to you. Old friends and family and that type of thing. And then you get the element of music, performing. There's always something very satisfying and magical about performing and the energy that you get back from people. But I think one of my favorite things is to find that spiritual element, to find that entity element in my trip. And I often find it in places where the nature is quite thick. I don't really find it in cities that much, but every time I go up to Limpopo, to Magoebas, every single time I find something that speaks to me there. And it's almost like a subconscious voice that I can't really explain, but I found it. I found it in Magoebas again. Especially the one night we went to a braai and in the actual Magoebaskloof. I never realized that there is an actual kloof specifically that is called Magoebaskloof. I've been to Magoebas for my whole life, and we had a event there, and there was just something there. There was something in the woods, in the atmosphere. There's something about driving in the night time in Magoebas area. Driving on the gravel road through trees, the little gravel roads, past trees and past rocks and past little mountains and that type of thing. But yeah, I found that voice. I found it in Magoebaskloof, and I also found it in my little tent on the deck in Sanin. There's some sort of I don't know if it's a farm or something. Well, there's something there. There's lions there. So another very, very interesting, strangely kind of. So the other interesting thing is. At night, in my tent on a deck there in Sanin, I heard lions roar every single night. So I was woken up by lions every night when I was sleeping in that tent. It's close to the Kruger National Park, but it's not the national park. It's some place that has lions on the property. I don't know what's going on there, but there's lions there, and they roar. They roar every single night. And it was quite it was a weird experience. It was interesting, weird. It was mixed with dogs barking and music playing. So it's not your typical Kruger kind of natural, clean nature experience. It was a weird experience, but it was still interesting. It kind of hit something in my subconscious again. It was really cool to see my cousins. Chris and I worked on a song. I think he's such a magnificent musician, and he's got that same feel that I have in terms of a more kind of dramatic, theatrical sound. So we're working on a song, 10,000 Gode. But I always said that I wanted to be buried in Heinertsburg. There's a graveyard there that I really love. And, I know most people go to ashes when they die. But I really want to be buried in the ground.
Die lig kom nou van agter.
There's a video actually.
Hallo.
Kom buddy.
Hy is so mal. Ons kan interpretive dans.
Buddy.
Buddy, oh buddy.
Buddy. Buddy. Thank you for watching my video. It's like a little diary for me as well, for when I'm old one day and walking around with a verloop bring. I don't know who's going to look after me. Maybe I should adopt a child or something. But
No!